The presentation I'm giving is about some research we recently published from the Cybersecurity Centre in WMG at the University of Warwick. I'm going to look initially at what do we mean by a digital twin. So the concept has been around for quite a long time. We think of it as something relatively new. But the first mention we can actually find of a digital twin dates back to pre-2000, when Scientific American twinned Alan Alda. Well, they didn't fully twin him. They twinned his image and his voice. And they actually made his twin say things that Alan Alda had never said. Today, we would probably call that a deep fake. Around this area of digital twins, we see a lot of confusion over terminology. We see reference to digital models, digital shadows, digital twins. At the heart of them, they are all computational models. They generally relate to a physical asset or process or system. There's some great work done by Go Science in terms of the computational modeling Blackett report they produced. It provides a really interesting discussion and explanation of the various types of models. It's quite important to understand that these different computational models can allow us to create different types of results with varying levels of granularity and fidelity to the real thing. A definition of digital twins that I particularly like is the one by NASA in 2010. Now, NASA know an awful lot about modeling spacecraft, because before you put anything into orbit, you need to understand its physical behavior. So for a very long time, going back well before 2010, they were creating multi-physics, multi-scale models. Those are what we would now potentially call digital twins. More recently, the AMRC, part of their high-value manufacturing catapult, published a paper or report on untangling the requirements of a digital twin. This is probably one of the best explanations of what a digital twin is all about. It's the virtual representation of a physical asset with some form of what they call live digital coupling. Now, a really key point in the terms of their presentation and their report is that digital coupling doesn't have to be real time. It just has to be good enough. So, for example, if you're looking at something that's slowly changing, say geographic or geological features, you don't need to the second or sub-second reporting on state. Certainly not for slow changing characteristics. Here's an example of the work we were doing as part of our research. What we've set out to do is examine the functional composition of digital twins. We've based it around the AMRC structure, which I've just shown. So we have a physical entity on the left. Within that physical entity, there are components that allow us to extract the digital information. Within the digital twin itself, there can be a variety of components depending on the purpose and use of the twin. The rationale for trying to create this breakdown was to help us analyze and compare different digital twins. Because at present, what we're seeing is a large number of entities, digital entities, are being called digital twins, when in fact they may have very different capabilities. So if you're in industry or you're a researcher and you've got one or more digital twins that you're trying to analyze, by breaking it down into the functional composition, you can make better comparison and you can understand whether or not we're actually looking at two, in a sense, identical capabilities or two different ones. In our paper, our report, we analyze the characteristic of digital twins, starting at the top level, as in this diagram, where we're looking at the key components, the digital coupling, the functional output, the tools that might be available, and how we digitally represent the physical entity. Each of these boxes then drills down further. So a node on the edge of this diagram has a further diagram that expands it out with an explanation of the characteristics we're looking at. Part of the reason we were doing this is to enable us to look at the security of digital twins. Here we've got a sort of simple comparison of the issues that we might encounter. So in the physical twin, it could be inaccurately represented. It could be used for hostile reconnaissance, by somebody using your digital twin to understand how your system, how your mine, how your building operates. There's the potential for malicious use, using the digital twin to influence or understand how to influence the operation of the physical twin. And a key issue in cyber physical systems is the consequences of sensor failure. What happens if a sensor becomes dislodged, fails itself, or is actually being tampered with to give inaccurate results? Looking at the digital twin from a security perspective, you might have inaccurate records. You may have made changes to the physical twin that affect its performance. If the functional output allows direct input of results back or parameters back into the physical twin, the digital twin could be used to make unauthorized changes. There could be inaccuracies in the displays, the representation of the behavior of the physical twin. And potentially there's the ability to expose very sensitive intellectual property. In our work on digital twins, we've been looking at it from a holistic perspective. So rather than simply talking about confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the digital twin, we've expanded it to include a number of additional attributes or goals. We also look at them in terms of the security domains, so not just the technical security, often referred to as cybersecurity, but what's the physical security of the digital twin? Are its processes assured? Is the information in it being adequately protected? And are the personnel using it trustworthy and fulfilling the correct roles? We bring that together in a holistic view. And by using this view and coupling it with the characteristics of digital twins, we believe we can get to much better models relating to the security and safety of those twins. And finally, I won't go into this in detail, but it's provided in the handout. We've looked at developing a digital twin use case, effectively using a structured process, identifying the need for the twin, establishing your information requirements, defining how you're actually going to manage your information requirements and the information you're collecting. And from our perspective as security experts, the most important is trying to define your security requirements up front. So you actually create the twin that is necessary, not the twin that your suppliers or potential partners might think is useful, but exposes sensitive information or risks harm to the physical twin. Thank you, John. That's the presentation.